16. And so I'll tell you a bit about each of them, and I'll also be watering them and spraying them with water. So right now you are in my living room, and my living room is where I have most of my plants and flowers right now. So I'll start maybe over here. This bouquet of flowers is very, very special because it was my wedding bouquet. I just got married a couple days ago, and so this was the bouquet of flowers that I had on my wedding day. It is not only special because it was my wedding, but it is even more special because my mom made it for me. My mom is a very sweet and kind person, and because wedding bouquets can be quite expensive, she went to a flower shop and got all of the flowers herself, and then arranged the bouquet herself. I had told her what colors I wanted. I said white and lilac because those are my favorite colors, and so she made sure to include them in the bouquet. And then she actually tied the bouquet with a beautiful lilac lace on the bottom. I'm thinking maybe for one of my future videos I can do like a story time about my wedding day. It was a very small and intimate and private ceremony, but a perfect day nonetheless. Usually in this phase, I have flowers toward the end of the school year as well, because some families are so kind as to give me like cards and flowers at the end of the school year. If you didn't know, I'm an elementary school teacher, and so around June when we end the school year, a few families are very kind as to give me some sort of token of appreciation. Okay, moving on. I do apologize for any background noise you hear. I think the living room is the area of my house that is the loudest because it's closer to the street. And so I'm hoping it is not too loud to make this video, since most of my plants and flowers are right here. But moving on to the next flower arrangement. This was a wedding present that I got from my cousin who lives in Florida, and it was a complete surprise. She knew I was getting married, but I had no idea she was going to send anything. Funnily enough, because she wanted it to be a surprise, she didn't ask me for the address. She asked someone else, and they accidentally gave her a very close address, but not quite the right one. So I had to go and pick up the flowers because the leaves are so long and heavy, they were all droopy to the sides. And so my mom came and stayed with us for some time, and during her stay, she decided she wanted to use this to tie up the whole plant so that it didn't droop that much. I am not really sure if it's helping it or hindering it. But since my mom was the one that did it, I just didn't have the heart to undo her work after she left. But if any of you are plant experts, maybe you can recommend what I can do if leave it tied up to help it grow up, or just let it droop. I think we were worried it wasn't getting enough sunlight since all of the leaves were like literally touching the floor. Let's go ahead and water this one. This one, because it's so big, it does drink a lot of water. I got this little watering can from IKEA. Isn't it so pretty? I don't really remember where we got this plant, but it may have actually been from IKEA as well. Some of our plants we've gotten from IKEA, and some of them we've gotten from like local flower shops. Oops, sorry. Sometimes I forget to look at the camera. I think a couple of them, friends or family, have gotten for us as well. Okay, let's move on to this one. I'm sorry about the lighting as well in this video. I realized all my plants are near a window, and so it was very backlit because all of the lighting was against the camera, and so you really couldn't see that well, so I closed the curtains. But the lighting in here is not necessarily the best. Okay, so this I like to call my succulent garden. If you see it closely from the front, it actually has two little itty-bitty succulents there as well. So it's a total of 5 different types of succulents. I have no idea what they're called, but I do know they grow so much. So especially these two, I'm constantly trimming. I sort of like the look they have when they're all itty-bitty like that. Let's maybe give this one some mist. We don't actually ever use this for plants. It's a little fan with a spray for the summer, but I thought maybe the plants would like it. this one I've had only about a month, but is doing so well. Actually, all the little succulent parts have been growing so much since I got it, probably because it's getting enough sunlight. Let's maybe give this one some mist as well. Okay, let's move on. I changed the lighting, so hopefully my shadow is not bothering us anymore. So this one is also another plant I got from one of my students at the end of the school year, and it is a violet, violeta, violeta. This one had such beautiful purple flowers when I got it last month, but they have since closed up again. I do think a couple new ones are coming out, so I'm so excited to see those bloom, maybe in a few days. This was a very sweet gift because my student said he picked it out himself because he remembered purple was my favorite color. Isn't that so sweet? Kids can be such sweeties. Let's give this one mist as well. And maybe some water as well. Okay, next we have my little basil plant. This little basil plant also drinks quite a bit of water, more than you would expect, I think. This little basil plant was a gift from one of my coworkers. There's this other teacher in my building who loves plants and flowers, and she has so many in her classroom. But then she was going to be traveling most of the summer and was afraid a lot of them were going to die if she left them in the classroom, or even if she just took them home because she wasn't going to be home. And so she gave away a lot of her plants to coworkers. And I am so excited that I got this little basil plant because I've had basil before, and it's such a practical plant. We do eat a lot of pasta and Italian dishes at home, so as soon as it gets maybe a little bit bigger, we'll start using it in dishes as well. I wish you could be here to smell it because it smells so good as well. Okay, moving on to my next plant. is so tall, it's like 1 centimeter away from touching our ceiling. So I think very soon we may have to repot it and change it to the floor so it has more room to grow. This is one of my favorite plants that I have, just because of how well it does in our home. I don't know if you can tell, but towards the top, the stem is still green, and towards the bottom, the stem is starting to solidify. So it looks like bark now. It feels really cool as well, like the trunk of a tree. Isn't nature so smart? It knows it's growing tall and big and heavy, and so it's ensuring by itself that it can be strong enough to support its weight. These 3 planters we also got from IKEA, and I really like how they match. Let's give this one some water as well. Okay, next I will show you our money plant, and this one at least I do know what it is. A money plant. This is the OG plant that started our big plant collection in our home. When I first moved in with my husband, we only had this one little money plant, and it was actually quite small when I first moved in, but now after many years, you can see it's doing so well. This one also drinks a lot of water. Once in a while, we spot new growth, and it makes us so excited. Right now, this baby growth right here is the youngest one it has. You can also see how this one is starting to solidify so that it can be strong to carry its own weight. If we look at the top, it is still green, this one unfortunately is not doing very well. For some reason, all of its leaves keep falling. I don't think that's normal. We are a bit hopeful now because this little growth just appeared a couple weeks ago. But when we first got this plant, it had like 6 or 7 of these stems. And now we're only down to 2 of the original ones. So again, if any of you are plant experts out there, maybe you can give me some suggestions. Okay, so those were all of the plants in my living room. Let's count how many we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 plants in my living room. I will take you now to our guest bedroom / office to show you some more. Okay, we are now in the guest bedroom, and this is one of the plants we have here. This plant is the most dramatic plant we own. It is completely unable to go more than like a couple days without water. Because it's so dramatic, we actually named him. His name is Charlie. It just seemed right to name him, given that he has such a strong personality. Sometimes during the summer, Charlie grows some beautiful white flowers. But unfortunately, I do not know what kind of plant he is. Next, in our little study, we have this plant right here. This plant is the messiest plant we own. Its little leaves fall all the time, and so right now I cleaned up recently, but usually the floor space under it is full of little leaves. This plant looks like it also makes some nice sounds. lastly, in our little office, we have this plant. That one is all the way propped up above our storage unit, so it has lots of room to grow. We sort of wanted to install, maybe on one of our little walls, some sort of netting so that it could wrap around it. We'll see if we ever get around to doing that. Even though it doesn't have anywhere to wrap around, it's still doing pretty well. You can see how green most of its leaves are. A few weeks ago, it had started to get so heavy that the weight of its leaves actually knocked it over, and it fell all the way to the floor. And so we had to prop up the planter with some towels so that that wouldn't happen again. Okay, friends, those were the 3 plants I have in my office / guest bedroom. Let's move on to the main bedroom now. Welcome to my bedroom. In my bedroom, we have 3 snake plants, and I really like how aesthetically pleasing it looks, that they are so symmetrically organized. We have one big snake plant in the middle with a gray pot, and then 2 medium-sized snake plants on the sides in green pots. I believe we bought the medium-sized snake plants in IKEA, but the big size snake plant we got at a local flower shop. We actually got this one first, maybe like 3 years ago. And then about a year and a half ago, we decided to get the other 2 sisters. They were all way smaller when we got them. It's so nice that they're doing so well. This one we've replanted already, but the other 2 we haven't yet. They came in plastic pots, and so we got these from IKEA along with the plants. unfortunately pretty sure I will forget everything that happened in a few years' time. When I was younger, I used to think that everyone had bad memory like me, that it was normal. And then, as I spoke with people over the years, I would notice they would say things like, "Oh yeah, when I was 5 years old, I did this and that. When I was 6 or 7, my parents took me here or there." And I started thinking to myself, wait, am I the only one that has no recollection of like anything that happened more than maybe 5 years ago? It's like every year of memories takes up space in my brain and has to delete the year before it to make space for the new memories. Since my husband and I like pots that don't have those plates on the bottom, we have made sure that every time we replant our plants, we put some pebbles or rocks on the bottom to help with drainage, and I think it has worked really well so far. Thankfully, most of our plants are doing well. I hope that the couple that are struggling, maybe with getting more sunlight during the summer, they regain some strength and health. So that was 10 plants in the living room, 3 plants in the guest bedroom, and 3 plants in the main bedroom, for a total of 16 plants. Thank you so much for joining